Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today I wanted to go ahead and address something that I haven't necessarily discussed in the most recent set of videos that I've been releasing. In the past, I have mentioned it. And this is something that is triggered from, an experience that I have, and also something that one of my audience members here, and even longtime supporter, subscriber on both my YouTube channels, not just this one, they went ahead and mentioned that something is happening with their Division game, that for over a few weeks after one of the updates, the game is not launching anymore. They've reached out to Ubisoft support. There really is nothing that they've been able to do. And in his words, he said they've given me the same BS message telling me to try these different things and nothing is working. And many people have faced that issue. Now, here's something that's really interesting. Many times this actually happens on specific computers. Now, in my opinion, I haven't necessarily been in a situation like that. Now, granted, I do production, so I'm able to have access to other proxy computers that I can use when a particular video game is not running on one PC. I've had this problem with other video games, one of them being Mortal Kombat 11, which is a game I played just as much as I play, if not more. I actually have more time on Mortal Kombat. You can see my PC time here. I have way more time on Mortal Kombat combined and all of my Division playtime, because that's, a different game. It's PvP, and I enjoy kind of the way that game rocks. But, I also like the Division as the only shooter game I play. So basically, if you ask what two games I play, it's those two. And if you actually think about all of this, I thought to myself, I said, there's one way that this can be subverted. And I actually replied to his comment and said, why not try to get the Stadia version of this game and perhaps see if it's going to work out for you? So this is my Stadia version of the game, and it's actually hooked up to my PC Uplay account. So all my progress was able to just cross save over. Now, I bought the Warlords of New York version. I paid extra, and I was able to do that. But at the same time, as I was giving this particular, response, two things hit me. One of them is, man, dang it, he's going to have to spend extra money because his copy of the Division is not working and the Ubisoft support is not helping. So shame on them for not getting, something at least that allow for, some alleviation of this amount of delay and, disappointment. I first want to just throw that out there. As much as I like Massive, you guys know, I'll definitely be on their case whenever it is that, I feel like something is not being done right. But again, another thing is, even though this aspect is something that we've also been discussing, among ourselves here in the community, I say that's a missed opportunity that the developers did not take out the time, or whoever is in leadership. Let me try my best not to say the developers, because, it's very easy to say that. But the people in leadership did not take the opportunity to implement a cross-play, cross-save feature. Now, crossplay feature is arguable in a sense. Could we have implemented a crossplay system, especially with the way the PvP is with the Dark Zone, using a mouse and a keyboard compared to controllers? Not that it really matters. A lot of skilled players are able to basically, play in with the controller in these situations, but also you have to determine as well frame rates. If you look at somebody who may be playing on a PlayStation 4 compared to somebody that's playing even on a PlayStation 5, at first I remember when the first set of patches rolled out for the Division on PS5, a lot of people did mention that, man, this is kind of difficult to try to play against people with better frame rates. And some people said they couldn't even respond to people shooting them in the Dark Zone. Before they knew what was going on, they were already melted. And that was kind of a little bit unfortunate in a sense. So when you kind of consider these things, you have to tell yourself, okay, well, I guess there's kind of a problem here because, those may not necessarily work. So cross save, in my opinion, would have probably been the better option. And Massive did not implement this. And I think they really missed out on a very solid opportunity to, in a sense, continue the game where it is. Now, you might say, well, cross-save is not necessarily something that is quite ubiquitous with a lot of the Ubisoft games. Honestly, that's not necessarily 100% accurate. Now, they have the capability to do cross-save. I have, and I didn't know I had it. There's actually a cross-save, progression of mine from when I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the PC version. I played it through the Ubisoft Plus where I subscribed, and my progress followed me to when I purchased the game on PlayStation 5. So all of the progress I had actually made on PC, which I never set up anything, only just my Uplay account is connected, they actually had all of that progress pretty much synced into my entire account. Another really interesting conundrum, though, is for some reason, my PC progress on Far Cry is not necessarily in a position where it's synced up to my PlayStation and Xbox progress. So some of the games, they vary. But here is an example where there is a cross-save functionality that's able to get the game from Uplay to Stadia. So what is the difference, or what are the, I would say, challenges in making that cross-save functionality available on the Xbox and the PlayStation? Because I've had to create brand new characters, follow through different aspects of progression, actually be underpowered after the time invested in the game to reach where I am. You see my shade level is 700 on this character, and many people will talk smack at me and say, your shade level is not even 1,000, but if I could just concentrate on one particular account, which some of that's kind of my fault, I spent another time creating a whole different PC account just for, to alleviate boredom. But at least if I could at least spend the time I've spent on Xbox and even PlayStation and actually had that time invested here, I would be at about, maybe 900, almost 1,000 shade level between just my PlayStation account and this PC account. My other PC account's almost at, I think it's about 200 shade level as well. But if you get what I mean, it really was an opportunity that they could have used to actually allow for a lot of things. Now, why I say the cross save is because of things like missions, I would say tasks in the sense of, scavenger hunts, like the masks, the hunter masks, and most especially even raids. And a lot of people who are on different platforms that are kind of, in a sense, stuck with their progression. And in order for them to move to an entirely different platform where there may be supports to help them run the raids, it may require for them to actually go to that platform and start all over again. Purchasing the game again is already one hoop. I mean, many Division players were not necessarily in a position where we're worried about that, honestly. I think what it is just that time, that invested time that we've spent in building a character. So I would recommend, and going forward, that Ubisoft never release a game without the cross-save functionality. They actually have, and I think more than many other publishers, and I have to give credit here, I think Ubisoft really does have, their head on their shoulders when it comes to just the way they implement technological things, like very simple things, accessibility options in their games. If you go into a Ubisoft game in the menu, there are options upon options upon options, especially on PC. It's not something that you can really argue against. It may not be sufficient for some people, but for the most part, Ubisoft games are quite interesting in the way that they actually allow for different plethora of people to be able to access their games. We have a friend in this community that plays the Division 2 with voice. It's insane. Like, they can literally use voice commands. I mean, you could do it for many other games. Not saying that Ubisoft is unique in that sense, but there's some other games that this friend of ours has had a hard time trying to actually map those same functionality because of the way that he specifically plays. So I've seen some really amazing things with the Division 2 in the way that they've designed the game. But I will have to say that aspect needs to be emphasized, very strongly. And even still, as the Division 2 is even on this, I don't know if I'll call it the advanced stage of its shelf life, they still probably need to prioritize and still do it. I mean, I don't think it even gives them the out because, if you kind of consider and think about it, this game, in my opinion, still has at least another 24 months in it. Unless they release another Division game or Heartland comes out within the 24 months, there is still 24 months of play in this particular game. Why am I saying that? Look at the Division 1. Who would have thought that the Division 1 had 48 months or maybe more of it that people are still playing and enjoying? And the Division 2 even has much more. You're still having people join because it's the more recent of the Division games, because if they look at 1 and 2, they look at where the play counts are, if they're able to see numbers, look at videos on YouTube, they probably see that the Division 2 is having a little bit more traffic and a little bit more engagement. So most of the time, they probably are, in a position where they will lean more to the Division 2 as, kind of the game that they will probably go ahead and engage in. And then you also have crossover. A lot of Destiny players or Destiny 2 players will take a break and be like, what am I going to farm or what am I going to grind while I'm taking a break from Destiny? And somehow, somewhere naturally, the Division 2 comes into the discussion and they jump in and they engage. So I think this is something they need to pay attention to, because Destiny really did nail down the cross save aspect, and I think they just understood exactly what all that was, and they made a good deal out of it in that sense. So this is basically what I wanted to go ahead and just chat about in this video. I know it's something that, as a community, we have requested many times, and it may seem like, well, right now we're in a position in the game where, it might just not necessarily be a big, no. They need to do it. If anything, it needs to be something that, even if they do it in a minimal sense and say, okay, for those of you who may already have a character or whatever, take this pathway, and, even if you already enjoy your progress, you can still have some level of your progression, your main character from your main account. If you do these things, there's a way to do it. Even though it may be harder, there still is a way. But that's it for me. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you think about all of this. Do you think that this is actually a worthy enterprise for the development team? Talk to you guys in another video. Appreciate you all for listening. Peace out.